Drugs and music. Arguably two of the most popular things humans consume that affect our emotions. I'm making this video because I couldn't help but notice how big of an impact drugs have on the music we all consume on the daily basis. I mean, if you take a second to look at the legends in the music industry, the common theme between most of them is that they're all under the influence. Like, all the time. So are drugs these terrible things that can only have a negative impact on your life?
You take drugs or alcohol? What is drugs?
Or are they the key to expanding your mind, destroying your ego, and turning you into the next musical genius? So this video is simply just me making an observation. I'm not here to tell anyone to do drugs or to not do drugs. Do whatever the f you want, I'm not your mom. So let's start with the most legal, yet somehow one of the most dangerous drugs of all time. I mean, it's literally poison, and it makes you depressed, but it's packaged to look delicious, and you could order it alongside your favorite meal, and not a single person will bat an eye. But if you dare smoke an herb that makes you giggle at everything and increases your appetite, then you'll be looked at as a loser and sentenced to 40 years in prison or something. My bad, I'm getting off topic. Alcohol. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people drink it at church. According to drugfreeworld.org, alcohol is a depressant, meaning that it slows down vital functions, resulting in slurred speech, unsteady movement, disturbed perceptions, and an inability to react quickly. As for how it affects the mind, it is best understood as a drug that reduces a person's ability to think rationally and distorts his or her judgment. Most people drink for the stimulant effect, such as a beer or a glass of wine taken to loosen up. Basically, it can turn an awkward little into the life of the party. Or it could kill him. Thanks, FDA. We know you truly care about our safety. Now, there are tons of songs that reference booze, especially country songs. Honestly, country artists probably drink the most. I think it's all that pent-up racism.
How did this happen? Out of nowhere? You just refer to someone with a racial slur?
We were all clearly drunk. You know, we stay dumb stuff together.
And there are even artists with their own brand of alcohol. But I think one situation that affected me the most was the case of Tim Bergling, aka Avicii. Avicii is known as one of the best to ever do it when it comes to the EDM scene. His music united people all around the world. His melodies touched my heart in ways I couldn't explain. He's one of the few EDM artists to chart on the Billboard Hot 100, and he just had this way of breaking the rules of music by taking every genre and dancifying it. The thing about Avicii, though, is that he was that awkward little that became the life of the party. I mean, the kid would literally sleep on his roof during the day so he could tan and then do nothing but make music at night. He was basically a nocturnal nerd that became one of the best DJs/producers in the world overnight. In the Avicii documentary, Tim stated that he was too stiff and nervous during shows, so he found that having a few drinks before him was like the magical cure to it all. Turns out when you're touring about 365 days out of the year and you need a few drinks before every single show, you're bound to earn yourself a good old-fashioned case of alcohol dependency. Thus led to Tim's appendix and gallbladder being ruptured, and the only way to really suppress the pain was by taking medicine for it. Oxycodone to be exact, which is basically just heroin in a pill. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, curing the side effects of a drug addiction with more drugs that have way worse side effects. Sadly, Tim died on April 20th, 2018 at the young age of 28 years old. Alcohol ruled and ruined his life, but simultaneously helped him become one of the greatest artists to ever live. There are tons more artists whose lives were ruined by alcohol, and I could definitely talk about those too, but that'd be way too long of a video. Anyway, on to a much lighter note. Let's talk about the drug that has never killed anybody, ever.
Not once!
But is somehow still not federally legal.
What?
The devil's lettuce, Mary Jane, pot, ganja, or as the government calls it, cannabis. According to nada.ni.gov, which stands for National Institute on Drug Abuse / National Institute of Health.gov. When marijuana is smoked, its active ingredient THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, travels throughout the body, including the brain, to produce its many effects. THC attaches to the sites called cannabinoid receptors on nerve cells in the brain, affecting the way those cells work. Cannabinoid receptors are abundant in parts of the brain that regulate movement, coordination, learning and memory, and higher cognitive functions such as judgment and pleasure. To me, this drug is the most prominent in the music industry. Out of all the legendary musical pot smokers, I think the GOAT, Bob Marley, said it best.
Do you have to smoke to be a Rasta?
No, man. But this time, I mean, like, for instance, you're reaching a sense where you're strong enough, can take a little smoke. So when all them car pass, although you live in the city, you don't hear it because you're thinking. differently if you just live so. Then, you know what I mean, the whole world confused you and you're worried and you don't have no time to think. And herb is a thing that give you a little time for yourself so you can live, if you use it. The more you accept herb is the more you accept Rastafari. You dig what I say? We who accept herb herb is important, but herb is more important to the people who don't accept it yet because that is the reality. I mean, it's not saying it's something that you crave, but you check it in your sense and say, herb is a plant. Herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find, we just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel. Against what? I don't care who the guy is, because my right is my right. Like when I check it out, the biggest man was a baby one time. So I don't know where him get all of these big ideas, want to be rulers over people and help enforce devilism. Can't dig it. Can't take it. We're rebel, man. We're revolutionaries.
Yeah, man, the GOAT makes a point. Why is a plant that comes straight out the ground so illegal while man-made drugs from a lab are advertised and easily purchasable at your nearest corner store? Like, bro, you can literally buy salvia at Lowe's Home Improvement. Look what salvia does to a person. I think marijuana allows you to ask questions and look at life from different perspectives without having severe life-ending side effects. And when captured in music, you're basically capturing that perspective and sharing it with whoever listens. I think that's why stoners are so successful in the music industry. They make and say things that the average person may not think about, all with the power of a plant. It's making me think like every philosopher was just having stoned thoughts. I mean, look at Plato. Dude's literally stoned. Next on the list of narcotics, psychedelics. Mainly acid, or LSD. I wasn't able to find much science on LSD except for the fact that the 5-HT2A receptor is affected a lot by the drug. This receptor is responsible for most of our dopamine and serotonin. So, interpret that as you will. This is what took the Beatles from this to this. That's what made Jimi Hendrix's guitar playing so otherworldly. It's how Syd Barrett changed Pink Floyd's direction from doing R&B covers on college campuses to changing music forever and inventing a whole new genre with the power of LSD. Pretty much all rock music in the 60s was fueled by one trip or another. I mean, look at Woodstock. I'm pretty sure every person at this festival is tripping balls. Look at this shit. Look at it. You look at me with a straight face and tell me this guy's not on acid. But the thing is, even though it looks like just a crowd of hippies high as hell experiencing one of the best lineups and music festivals in history, it was actually a lot deeper than that. See, Woodstock took place in 1969, and according to History.com, the United States was in the middle of the Vietnam War, and it was the era of the Civil Rights Movement. I think it was a period of time where people were realizing that the American dream was actually kind of a nightmare, seeing televised murder and what soldiers were experiencing, and also seeing injustice in their own backyards. Basically, the festival was a chance to escape into music and spread that good message of peace and love. Nowadays, a festival with bad weather, muddy conditions, lack of food, water, and sanitation would be immediately shut down due to the anarchy, but people attribute the lack of violence to everyone being on psychedelic drugs. Kinda makes you think that maybe the hippies were onto something, but yeah, let's make it illegal, demonize it, and continue to push life-ending substances. I'm still looking at you, FDA, you sneaky son of a bitch. Up next is some amphetamine field music. Oh yeah, baby, the 80s were a crazy time. I mean, not that I know, I was born in the year 2000, but if we were walking around wearing this type of shit, you had to be doing cocaine. Like, a lot of it. Things in the 80s were futuristic, next level, going 1,000 miles an hour, and you have to attribute a lot of that to crack and cocaine. Guys like Ozzy Osbourne, David Bowie, Eddie Van Halen, and even dudes like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith reportedly spending $2 million on cocaine. This isn't even music related, but Stephen King, you know, the author of the classic books like The Shining and It, was doing hella cocaine while writing his books. Can you imagine that? Okay, this one's gonna be about a clown, and he feeds off children's fear, and he could shapeshift into whatever they're really scared of, like a spider with a severed head for a body or something.
Hey, Steven, maybe you should just calm down for a second.
Shut the up! Anyways, cocaine. This drug fueled so much music in this era, and you can really tell by the production. With the fast-paced drums, crazy synthesizers, energetic guitars, and in-your-face vocals. Totally cocaine music. I mean, Stephen Perry, the lead singer of Journey, lost his voice due to cocaine usage. Even Rick James and his girlfriend were found guilty twice for holding a woman hostage, performing sex acts on her, and then burning her with a crack pipe.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I'm not gonna get into like the science of cocaine, but just imagine drinking a 12-pack of Red Bulls and you're pretty much there. Last but not least, the worst drug of them all, heroin and opiates. I delved into this a little bit with the Avicii thing, but it's actually a lot worse. See, heroin binds to opioid receptors on cells located in a bunch of areas, especially those involved in feelings of pain and pleasure and in controlling heart rate, sleeping, and breathing. People who love the drug probably enjoy the immense euphoria you can get from it. However, the side effects include collapsed veins from injecting, infection of the heart, liver, and kidney disease, lung complications, and sexual dysfunction for men. See, this drug is just purely awful. Yet, it's produced a lot of great music. People that lost their lives to heroin and opiates were legends, such as Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Prince, and even more recently with dudes like Mac Miller and Juice WRLD. I guess you don't really hear of anyone happy taking opiates, but I think the kind of music opiates produces is what I like to call hurt music. You can really sense how down these artists feel, and it really is just a real sort of feeling. Amongst all the other music out here that is positive and usually upbeat, or even sad music that just has over-exaggerated strings and chords, here lies a genre that is just no BS. I'm not sure if it stems from all the lack of energy they have from the drugs, but it almost feels as if they've had enough of pretending. It's like confessing, except it's over an instrumental. Yeah, they are great songs, but to get to that mindset, to be able to capture that feeling of disparity, it's heartbreaking and hard to come back from. See, each of these individuals had severe issues that they suppressed with drug usage. Intelligent minds that were capable of climbing to the greatest heights ended up being responsible for their own demise. There's no telling what really brought these visionaries to the point of no return, but I think it's important to note that no matter how big you get, or however powerful you may feel, nobody is invincible. And the moment you think you are, is the moment the FDA comes in and makes you take Percocets for a headache. You son of a bitch, FDA. Get the out of here. Get out of here, FDA. No one likes you. So yeah, like and subscribe or don't. I don't give a later.